As I look at South Bend, there's a lot of new construction happening near Notre Dame, and I think that's wonderful. But I feel like there are other areas of the city that can also kind of undergo a similar transformation, revitalization in terms of new development, but also being respectful of the architecture of the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So I tried to kind of match the style of home that was present here, the historical homes. Mm-hmm. The house that had been here was built in 1908, and it's kind of a similar main gable facing the street, so that's kind of what I had in mind. It's taken about a year. I've done a lot of the work myself, so I was very hands-on. So I framed this house. I did all the finish work. As I said, I work as a carpenter, so that's kind of my main trade. And the fact that I did it all myself, or the majority I could, in terms of the woodworking, that took a little bit longer, and also the fact that I was working on other projects at the same time. So it took about a year in total. So it's a simple layout, but it took me a lot of time to kind of develop it. A lot of sleepless nights just thinking about it. And what I had in mind was a private space and a public space, similar again to that house around the turn of the century, but now the kitchen's part of the public space. But as you go behind the kitchen, there's a back hallway, and that back hallway is where you're going to find the half bath, and also the laundry area, and also the pantry and the mudroom. And that's probably more for the occupants of the home, the family, as opposed to the guests. And I like to have that tucked away. I'm not a fan of homes where the bathroom opens up into a public space, either to a main hallway or to near a kitchen, something like that, or a dining room. It's just something that I'm kind of opposed to. And I also feel like hallways in general are a waste of space in a home. It's not a very efficient use of space. So the way I have the hallway serve in the back of the house is it actually serves as part of the room itself. So if you're standing in front of the hallway that is in front of the washer and dryer is actually part of a laundry room. The hallway that is in front of the pantry is part of the pantry. So it's actually the space you would stand if it was a separate standalone room. One of the main changes we've seen in architecture from houses around the time that the original home was built, the turn of the century, to now is there's much more interaction between the kitchen and the rest of the house. It used to be the kitchen was more for there'd be a live-in maid, and that was kind of a private area, and it didn't interact with the rest of the family. A lot of times there was a separate set of stairs to the kitchen. That's changed today. I feel like the kitchen's kind of the hub of the home now, and so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to tuck that away. So I wanted to have an open floor plan, an open concept, and that's why the kitchen really interacts here with the family room, living room, and that's kind of the focal point of the downstairs. I'm a big fan of the Craftsman movement and Craftsman style. And if you look at the kind of the roots of the Craftsman movement, it was the beautiful necessity. So it wasn't like, let's just put this fake decoration or ornament in a house. It was what's necessary. Let's take the necessary and make that beautiful. So this beam is necessary. There's a triple LVL that's holding up the second floor I-joist. So it's necessary. That column, that post is necessary. The engineer called for a certain amount of bearing for that beam that travels down to a lally column in a basement that sits on a concrete pad. It's all necessary. So it's necessary, let's make it beautiful now. And so that's kind of what we did there. This old house does this idea house, and in 2017 they did one in Rhode Island, and I basically copied their post and beam system. So that's where that came from. So I want this to be an efficient home, and part of that is great natural lighting. So you're not always having to turn on a light all the time. The house is flooded with natural light. And so the stairwell upstairs, rather than the ceiling or the wall continuing all the way to the ceiling, is open over the railing, and that kind of floods the stairwell with natural light. As you reach the top of the stair landing, you're going to see that there's 4 bedrooms and a large linen closet, and there's obviously the master bathroom that's part of the master suite, and then there's a large kind of more communal bathroom for the kids or guests, and that's also has a double bowl vanity, and again, we were looking for the kind of timeless classic look in terms of the tile we chose, the subway tile, the floor tile, very kind of appropriate and timeless, especially to this neighborhood. When I was constructing the house, the one thing that jumped out to me honestly is the ease at which you could access the river paths that lead to, just along the river into the beautiful park that's in Mishawaka along the river. I couldn't believe how close we were. I knew we were fairly close to the river, but just just walking down the street, we're right on the path, and it's just a great spot to go for your daily walk with, your significant other or a family member. Just a great spot. So I'd say probably the river. Also the ease at which you can access the Martins down the street. That's nice. I personally am a fan of the Oak and Bucket as well. So I'm sure if I lived in this neighborhood, I'd probably go there quite frequently.